Eamon Carr, welcome to Iron Islandist, or should I say, pleased to meet you.
Yeah, or happy to meet.
Happy to meet you.
I tell you what, I'm delighted to be here. Every day is a milestone now, you know.
I think for all of us, trust me. So, first question always starts with, have you been to the Iron Islands?
I've been to one Iron Island, and it's to my shame, you know. And I'll tell you exactly what happened, and only the once, as they say.
Yeah.
Paul Drury was editor of the Evening Herald, and he called me in one day. Paul had a second home over in Inverness, and so he said, "Right," he said, "I want you to go over to the Iron Islands." I said, "What?" And to do a story, and I said, "But sure, you know, the Gaelic is not great, you know, not good flourish." So he said, "No, it doesn't matter." He said, "The story was that the Inisheer was losing its priest, and so they had a church, and the parishioners wouldn't have a priest. So anyway, so I had to go and do a story with great trepidation. So anyway, off I jolly well went on the Saturday.
No flights in those days, I'm sure.
Well, as it happened, so out to the little airport out in Inverness, was it? And got on this small little twin prop job, right, an island or whatever it's called, and there was low ceiling cloud, and there was mist, and it was a bit stormy, and it was winter, and off we went. And I was in this with an elderly man, two passengers. One was a woman, and one was an elderly man. And behind me there was a fridge or a washing machine, and because this did everything, you see. So anyway, I'd be a nervous flyer at the best of times. So anyway, so up we go, up, down to the bumpity bump, and up into the air, and then buffeted around, you see, by strong winds. And I'm thinking, well, this obviously works because they do this every day. But I had a sort of shocking suspicion that I was on the sort of a Buddy Holly run, you know. I heard Glenn Miller. But anyway, so I decided anyway, but you're sitting right close up to the window, you see, or whatever. And so I snuck a little look out the window, and down below I saw the rocks, you know, and I could see the waves breaking the rocks. We were making progress. I said, that's great. So anyway, 5 minutes of this, up and down, you see, up and down, bumpity bump. So I said, I'll have a look out and see how the sea is. And I looked at the same rocks. So the plane was like a kite. Yeah. It was actually going up and down, but it wasn't making headway. Right. Anyway, we eventually got there, and we got off. And I had no idea where it was going, like, you know. I'm on Inisheer. And thankfully, the woman who reminded me vaguely of sort of like Mary Coughlin, obviously looked at me and thought, this lad is an assassin. What's he doing here? And she said, "Oh, are you? I don't know, I just have to try and get somewhere to stay." Yeah. And she said, hold on, I'll give you a lift in. So she had a big old Jeep, like the big Jeep in Vera, you know, the detective thing. And so brought me down, directed me to this house. And the woman said, "Oh, yeah, I'll put you up here. That's grand for the night." And she said, "Call down to the house," the woman said. And they were the nicest couple. Her husband was from Donegal. And I think both of them may have been teachers, or he was a teacher. And so I went down and spent an hour or two sitting having a chat with them. They were very good. They spoke to me in English because, although I had honours Irish in my leaving cert, I was never able to have any conversational Irish because I think Gaels County Meath. Although either side of us, we had Rathcairn, one Gaeltacht, and we had Ballyagib on the other side. And my uncle Fintan Ginnity lived in Ballyagib, and his family all spoke Irish. But whenever I would approach them, they would speak English to me because they regarded me with suspicion. And as it turns out, I was there to do a story on the fact that there was no priest. And the other man that had been on the plane with me was, in actual fact, a temp priest. Right. And he was an Irishman who had been, he just retired, and he spent a lot of his life in Glasgow, and he was over, and he was living in Galway, and he was helping out. So he would fly out, hear confessions on the Saturday night, and do Mass on the Sunday. Yeah. Now, I saw him, he was sitting beside me, and he was staying in the same house, right? The same B&B. Yeah. But I just didn't hassle him or kept well away from him. Yeah. I was observing, you know. And then that evening, then I went to the pub.
The pub.
and where I drank Kilbeggan whiskey. But the wonderful thing was, I had forgotten how many bloody stars there are in the sky.
Yeah, the clear nights.
There was no light pollution.
No ambient light pollution, yeah.
And, you know, it was astonishing. The stars just seemed to be within reach.
Yeah.
Oh no, it was almost a mystical experience. Well, the Kilbeggan might have had something to do with it too.
I was going to say.
But as it turns out, no, but it reminded me of years ago when I used to go to Andros or Sifnos or one of those Greek islands. And it was always like that. And again, no ambient lighting, and the stars were down on top of you. And you sort of understood the importance of the skies at night to our forefathers. And then the following morning, after Mass, I dropped down to my friends, who's dreadful. I've actually forgotten their names, but they were really nice people. And we went out and kicked a bit of football because there's a pitch there. And it was wonderful. But the other thing was as well that I saw scenes I recognised, although I'd never been there before, like the harbour. Yeah. I had a drawing by Sean Keating